everybody. This is Tiffani.
What's up? This is Ariel.
And this is episode 21 of Grab Your Cup podcast.
Ew!
Them numbers are building. We got a resume. Check our resume, y'all.
Google me.
Yes.
That's all I got for you. Google me. Search my name, fam.
How are you?
You know what? I'm amazing.
Hey.
I'm literally... She's doing a fruit fast.
Hey.
I started on Monday. Today is Thursday.
Okay.
I'm almost done. Let me tell you. I literally can see my feet now. So I feel like I'm doing amazing at this. I haven't wavered. I've only eaten fruit. I've only drank water and tea. And I got until Monday to keep doing it. And I have a refrigerator full of fruit. I'm doing good. I'm out here killing it. One watermelon at a time.
You've done this before, right?
I have.
Is it different? Is it harder? Or is it...
Well, last time I did it, I didn't fast off of social media at the same time. So I'm fasting social media and I'm only doing fruit in this. It's considered like a Daniel fast.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do both. This takes a lot more focus. Probably because every once in a while I do social media breaks. That's a lot. I do them quite often. Mm-hmm. Like every other month I do a social media fast for like a week or two, or until I feel like I don't need to be on it anymore. So I can like literally stop the fruit and start eating everything again, but still stay on my social media fast. It just depends on how I feel. And that might happen. That's how I'm feeling right now. Mm-hmm. That I'm going to stay on my social media fast when I get there on Monday. But I feel really good. The Lord been talking to me, and I've been listening, so I feel good about it. I think what helps me the most is knowing that I know what to do now when I feel a certain way. Mm-hmm. So when I went out of town, I ate 9 loaves of bread. It was was it 9? It was 9 or 10. It was between the two, 9 or 10 loaves of bread, with butter on them.
Baker's man, baker.
Listen, hey, I literally came back, to Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I needed to get that. I need to get that.
So cute,
isn't he?
Yeah.
Except for when you try to button your pants. Not so cute.
I
So
understand.
I had told somebody that I felt like I had hot chocolate pulsing through my veins. Because I was sluggish and I wasn't feeling how I normally feel. I normally feel good all the time, and I was feeling a little more sluggish than usual. Okay. So I needed to get that together real quick. And I did. So that's when I said I need to do a fast. And then I started getting irritated with social media, and I also couldn't focus like I normally do. And then one night I found myself laying in bed, and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was scrolling on Instagram, and I was like, yeah, we're going on a fast, because you know what you're doing, girl. Let's stop.
Right.
So I feel good now. And all the things have been happening on social media. Like, it always happens, like, the day I leave social media, the world turns upside down.
Trash.
You know what I'm saying?
Just trash. And I come to her live for everything. Hey, so I know you didn't see this, so picture this. Let me say.
She's like, so let me tell you what happened. And you know what? Like, let's just touch on it real quick. Real touch on it real quick. Because Tiffani, that was her taking a deep breath, y'all. She comes to me and she's always like, I need to talk to you about something. And I'm always like, okay, I'm here. And she's like, all right, so I was on Instagram, and I be like, girl, I thought we was about to change the world. No, she's like, no, not this time.
No.
This time, I'm just sick of people, and I need you to listen to me.
With me.
I need you to hear what I'm saying, and just, I know.
Right, because I got to get it out so it doesn't consume me.
Right, and then we talk about it, and then it's over. Yep. So, first thing she called me about was Nicole Murphy, and how everybody is attacking, what's her name?
Lela Rochon.
Lela Rochon, like she is the not the victim in this situation. Like, everybody's like, well, that's what she get. I mean, you get fat and you get ugly. That's what happened. And all I kept thinking to myself was, I hate all of you.
All of them. So here's the scenario: if you don't indulge in tabloid gossip, good for you. You keep it that way. But if not, if you know, then you know. And if you don't, what happened was there was a picture that circulated of Nicole Murphy kissing, I think his name is like Antoine Fuqua.
Of course it is.
Mm-hmm. And
is he light skinned?
No, he's like,
because that was just gonna push me over the edge.
But here's the thing too that's funny, because I saw stuff that said he kept himself up, and I'm like,
he also didn't have no children.
But he's not like a bodybuilder out here. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like,
he's not out here looking like.
He looks nice. I'm not gonna stunt, but it's just anyway. So the picture is circulating, and then
I'm not gonna stunt
him. It was discovered that was Layla Roshan's husband.
Okay.
And it quickly went from this kind of, she's kissing this married man and people giving their opinions about that to, that's what this woman gets because she's gained all this weight. And if she wanted her husband to stay at home, she should lose weight or lead a relationship. You people
I hate you all.
Trash.
And this is why I take breaks from social media, because I literally can't.
Trash. Big bags. Industrial size garbage bags.
Different
trash.
colors, bags.
They don't even got all the colors of the garbage cans that I could separate y'all into. Trash. Industrial trash.
Okay, so that was the first thing. The second thing was we didn't talk about this, but R. Kelly going back to jail again, girl.
Yeah, I just stopped talking.
Listen, I saw it and I was just like, God. Carry on. 20 extra tapes, huh?
Right.
Oh, okay. I will say this: I do applaud them for going after the people that helped him. Now.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, great.
I saw that on YouTube though, but because I watch like self-help stuff, and sometimes when you're watching them, like you get commercials on YouTube, and it was part of another person's like YouTube commercial.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't. That's how I saw that. Then we were talking about Bow Wow. So apparently Bow Wow was at the club. If you don't know who Bow Wow is, because there's no reason for you to know who that is. Bow Wow is a young rapper. Okay. Let me change that. Bow Wow was a young rapper.
Boom. He had a nice career run
when he was a toddler. And now as an adult, not so much.
Nope.
So he's a old rapper. And he used to date Sierra, who is now married to
Russell Wilson.
And he was apparently at the club, and one of Sierra's songs came on, and he comes over the mic talking about, what'd he say?
Y'all know I hit that beat first.
I hate all of you.
That's it.
That's all I got. I just hate all of you. I really, and by hate, I don't mean like hope you fall off of a cliff.
Yeah, I wish.
But kind of like a strong disdain.
Yeah.
For you. And I don't know how else to say how strong my disdain is, but to use the word hate. But like it's because you people are something else. And then for the people who came on with the whole, I mean, he did though, and blah blah blah. And then apparently, so Tiffany tells me that there was an intervention with Nelly and T.I. and Nelly and T.I. was not going. And
I don't even think that they were so much trying to have an intervention with the fact that he said it, because I know dudes do that in locker room talk. They probably were like, you are that foolish to get on a microphone at a club and feel like that's what you needed to do with yourself.
Because there was nothing else to do that day. There was nothing else to do that day. Like, that microphone was there and you were just like,
I mean, it was a trash statement to say. It was trash for you to say. But everything else with it just
all you gotta say heavy
trash
for
characteristics.
These trash characters is out here in the world, man. Listen,
it's icky.
Hey, speaking of that, I think it's funny. This is gonna be a subject change. Follow me for a second.
Picture this.
I think it's funny how people can treat you a certain way, and when you treat them how they treat you, they get
offended.
bothered. And the nerve to say, but that's not you. You just doing that because I did it. Yes. What else would you like to talk about? Because I need you to know, don't do that to me no more.
Right.
If you would like me to not do that to you, and you know I would like you to not do it to me, let's not do it to each other. Can we do that as an adult? Can we come to an agreement? Or let's just not. Could we? I just think it's interesting how as adults, people will function the way they want to function and assume that you have to tolerate it. You do not have to tolerate anything that anybody does. And let me show you what it is that I won't be tolerating. This is what I won't be tolerating.
You know what, we said trash too much that I have nothing for that but trash. Like
that's all what it is.
Yeah,
but that's what made me bring it up, because
I was like, oh, I wish I had more
trash.
More eloquent words. I don't. Trash.
I feel like that was extremely articulate. Trash, garbage,
hot garbage.
You could do hot garbage. Like that takes it up a notch. That definitely, when you put it on there, hot. It does put
I see it right now. It's smelly.
There's flies around. Yes. And like it's hot outside. So it's got that I've been sitting here smoldering. Hey, let me tell you once.
You get close up on it and it radiates heat from the garbage.
So one of my friends says this all the time. Every time somebody smells, he says they smell like hot peaches. I hollered because that is the funniest thing I have ever heard of a description of a person. But then I was like, all I keep thinking when I think of hot peaches, I think of peach cobbler.
Right.
And his response to me is, that's cinnamon and nutmeg and butter and goodness. No. You ain't never just smelt a old hot peach. I said, no. He said, exactly. Because it stinks. It doesn't smell delicious. It does not smell like peach cobbler. And I was like, so now his quest is to get me to smell hot peaches, because
so you understand.
So that I understand. I'm neither here nor there with it. But hot peaches is what we say to each other when somebody smells. He's always like, hot peaches. So let's just call these people hot peaches.
Hot peaches are out here.
They out here smelling like hot peaches.
Trying to take over.
It's in
and
the
I'm somewhere 2000. Trying to hide in air conditioner and under air conditioner with sage.
Listen.
And holy water bag.
Girl.
Get away from me. I don't like it.
Immediately. Right now. Not tomorrow. As we speak, I need you to relocate up out my face. What? I mean, so on the book side, I just finished, what book did I just finish? This is a good question. Oh, so right now I'm finishing The Wait. It's actually really good. That's the one with Megan Good and her husband. I'm reading Cora Jake's book. She just published one like last month, I think. It's called She's a Prayer Warrior. That one's really good too. She come for your whole soul. Page 3. I am listening to Sarah Jake Roberts' book on audio called Lost and Found. So this is how this works, because I know y'all like, how are you reading all these books? So y'all probably don't believe I'm doing it, but I really am. So I drive an hour to work every day. So the audio book gets an hour of my work on the way to work, and home from work I listen to it. When I get home, I read either a chapter or 2 chapters of either book. I don't have a rhyme or reason, just whichever one I decide to do, whether it's The Wait or it's Prayer Warrior. And then I go to bed. So it literally takes me 20 minutes to read 2 chapters in one book and 20 minutes to read 2 chapters. And it's literally not as hard as, first of all, I don't read with my finger, y'all. So I'm able to read faster than y most people in their minds, unless you're a fast reader, you think that it takes longer to read 2 chapters. It doesn't. You just don't like to do it, or maybe you fall asleep reading, or it's just time consuming, or it's boring, or whatever the case may be. Like if you're reading something that you enjoy, it literally only takes you like 20 minutes because you're flowing.
I think it's building up a habit of making reading a habit. You have to build that up. I just think, especially in the era that we are in, with quick accessibility and overconsumption and oversaturation of stuff, and all of that, you can probably find yourself in like 5 minutes, like kind of twiddling your thumb and hearing sounds and unfocused. And,
for sure.
And it's not that the content isn't interesting. It's just that that's a habit that you're out of the loop of. But I think it's a good thing to build your endurance on.
Oh, I definitely had to build it. And then it's the same thing like with anything else. When you stop, you have to build it back up. And I had stopped for a while, and because I had stopped for a while, when I started reading, she got sleepy. I got so sleepy. I so sleepy. And then, over time, I build up the ability to not fall asleep while I'm reading. So those are the 3 books that I'm currently doing. And once I finish, I'll let you guys know how that goes. It'll probably be by the next podcast. I'll be on another 3 books. We'll see what happens.
Well, I am hot.
Dead. I can't. I just want to pause this podcast and talk to you off mic real quick because
I am hot.
I'm like, I'm reading these 3 books and you're like, bet, I'm hot. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? This is real.
This is a true story.
Oh, God.
I am hot. Listen, I don't think having an assistant is on my pay grade, or I'm quite there.
I don't even want to do this with you no more today.
But I'm trying to figure out how I can finagle that in my life. I just really want an assistant. Like, that's
you get on my nerves.
So today I've been meal prepping.
Hey, y'all, her food looks so good too.
Listen, I've been trying to meal prep because I am tired of not knowing what I'm going to eat and waiting to the last minute and making poor decisions because
that's the cycle. Like, that's how it goes. Wait till the last minute, poor decision, spent a whole lot of money.
A whole lot. Like, I spent, because of course I already had some things, but I spent $25 and got some rice, some peppers, some mushroom, some chicken breasts, some chicken strips, some bouillon cubes. Cause let me tell you, my rice is fire because I put the bouillon cubes.
I see you over there. Don't put a can of stewed tomatoes in there. Fire roasted stewed tomatoes. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
That's how you make a change.
And yeah, so I have a salad mix, and I have like 3 to 4 different meals. So I'm meal prepping for myself, my fiance.
Good job.
And my mother. And I've been putting that off, but I got started. And when you have a fiance and y'all together got like 4 kids, like regular tasks just become so much more exaggerated. I literally wash all the time. Like I'm never not washing clothes.
Listen, on every YouTube that I watch with DIYs and good housekeeping, because I literally am addicted to those.
Yeah, those are dope.
Anytime there is more than one child in the house, all she doing is laundry. Like that laundry room is dope. They got that set up. Like they got the dispensers and the baskets and she got a system for folding. It's a whole thing.
Listen,
and it's just me, and I'm washing clothes every day for this 13-year-old. So I get it.
Listen, I can't wait until we're in, like he talks about like, oh man, where we're gonna move to and how things can look and all those things, and And I'm like, yeah, that backyard's gonna be dope. Yup, that would be dope too. Ooh, nice basement. You know what would be dope? I see the shelving in my laundry room. I
Look,
see it.
I see the Tide.
Ooh,
I see
it.
the Downy.
I see the
I
pal.
see it.
I see this rack that I could just fold the kids' clothes on and like, you come get your pal.
Yes.
That's yours right there.
This is your section, because I seen that on a YouTube video. They had it where the kids' clothes go in certain sections.
Yeah.
Everybody come get their... Oh, this one says Jack. This one says Nathan. This one says Sarah. Come get your stuff and put it in your room.
And put it away.
Yes. I see it for you.
Oh, thank you.
I see it for you.
Speak life into me.
Listen, make it real. Okay?
So,
make it real.
I mean, I've been doing a lot of regular stuff, but I think I've been really proud of myself because... Let me tell you, you get to this point where you go through storms and you learn lessons and when you're in tune with your lessons, like you're like, oh, okay, this is where I'm growing. Then you get another phase and then it's like, you ready? Because now you have to use those things that you discovered in your life.
First of all, the answer is no.
What?
I didn't know this was part of it.
So you start going through similar, lighter, mild, different level versions of things that normally would have set you off. And then you just got to coast through and like, ooh, that's been happening a lot. But I've been doing devotionals.
Come on.
I've been finding time. I've been starting my mornings that way. So I don't know anybody who, if you don't use the Bible app, like I don't know where you are
with your life,
with your faith and stuff, but I really advise anybody to download the Bible app. So a while ago, before this point on my journey, I was looking for like some specific like women's devotional. So I downloaded like a couple different things, and this is no shade. It's gonna sound shady, but it's not shade. There's a one called Sprinkle of Jesus. Sprinkle of Jesus is a little ratchet to me. Like, it's cute. It's motivational to me. It's like it drops little gems. But sometimes it'll be like, get your life and don't get played. And I'll be like, wait, what?
I'm pretty sure Jesus didn't say that. And if we could stop
like,
saying that Jesus sprinkled that'd be awesome.
And I was like, so this is the sprinkle part of the Jesus. It's just the sprinkle. I got you. Okay.
You said it is just a sprinkle.
Got you. Okay. But it's, I had that for a bit. I had like a women's Bible. I think if you think about having the Bible app, if you don't have it, you think of like, oh, I have this app to read the Bible, right? Whether you read the Bible or not, and that's an interest to you, they have these devotional plans that you can follow.
You can do them with friends. You can do them with your significant other. You can do them by yourself. You can make them public. You can make them private. You can
make notes, highlight.
Highlight. You can. There are some of them that are video. There's some of them that are audio. Some of them you read them yourself. You can always go back and look at them again and do them again, because sometimes they got some gems in it. Now, I journal when I do my devotionals. So I have one journal full already that I did a year of devotionals in, and then I've just started my next one. And I get to refer back to it whenever I need to just, get a refresher on a specific topic. They have them in there about entrepreneurship. They have them in there about relationships. They have them in there about anxiety, depression, self-esteem, insecurity, being a parent, how to talk to your kids, how to talk to your spouse, how to be okay with being single, what it means to be single, how to get quiet so you can hear God. They got like all types of different stuff in there. And they've got it specifically for men. They have them specifically for women. They have them for anybody that's wants to read about that topic. Like, if you want to find something, they got a million things for anybody. It's like one of the most amazing apps for devotionals that I've had. And I have a couple apps about devotionals that is my favorite.
Yeah. So I'm so happy that I hadn't in a while that I've made this a part of my routine because it's been my saving grace and my sanity. And normally I like to journal too. My just schedule has kind of flipped its head, and I don't want to, remove it completely because it can't go the way it used to be going.
Right.
And so I can tell you, I know the difference of what I got to battle the other things that happen in my day.
Yeah.
When I started my day with that, let me tell you, people have gotten saved. I've been saved. My fiance's been saved. It's been things.
Have gotten saved.
Listen, just because I have taken the time to commit to pouring this in, and it's not forced. It's kind of what you said about like the fast. Like, I already know what to do because I've done it.
Yeah.
So because this is something I was doing, I'm in that thing, okay? And the ones I've been doing are amazing.
Which is interesting because it always seems like you find what it is that you need that day, and it's random. Like this is day 4. You don't know what day 4 consists of, but then day 4 comes up and it just happens to be something that you going through or you battling, and then they tell you, hey, sharp tongue, you need to get that together, and then you're like, whoop, whoop, check. All right, that was for me. I get it, because I definitely had plans on cussing all the people out.
Anybody in a relationship, if you ain't in a relationship, if you trying to be in a relationship, if you want to be in a relationship, okay, it's a devotional. If
you like people.
Listen, it is a devotional on there called The Lies Couples Believe. Baby girl. Oh my God.
Hey, she called me, was like, they put me in my B. Simone voice.
Ooh, I read like day 2, I was like, baby girl, they were talking to you. Checkmate. Okay.
So I definitely be doing that one next.
I'm doing it again. I got a star next to it. You can rate them. I gave it all 5 stars.
Right.
This is a thing. Thank you.
The one I'm doing right now that's really good. Well, actually, it's 2 of them. One of them is called A Begin Again, and then the other one is about insecurity. Security and your insecurity. I got all types of color pens on this one. Because the more colors I'm using, the deeper it has gotten.
Right.
Just so you know. But I find myself a lot of times having to dig deeper into what it is that why I'm doing this fast, why I am off social media, is because sometimes I just have to clear my mind, because you allowed outside people into your head, whether it's with my son, or it's with my friends, or it's with my family, or, just life happening. It doesn't stop. And sometimes you have to make it stop. And people don't understand that making it stop consists of getting quiet. It doesn't mean that you are going to make the things around you not happen, but you need to slow down, think, and process, because a lot of times people don't give you the grace that you need to be able to go through, and you have to take it. So, like, there was a couple weeks ago, there was a huge storm in Chicago, and a lot of the southern part of Chicago flooded because of the rain. And when it flooded, my son's father's house flooded also. And when his house flooded, and when I say flooded, like his mattress, all the way up to the mattress, was underwater.
Weather just on trash.
Just garbage.
It's not just the people. You know what I'm saying? Even though trash
coming out here on trash. So, he calls me and he's like, hey, can I bring him over there? I don't want him over here in this water. And I was like, of course. So he brings him to my house, and my son has been with me ever since, because the house that my son's father is in, the drywall hasn't been taken out, and that's how black mold starts to form. Because right after that storm, it was 99 degrees outside. Jesus. It was 104.
Hot peaches.
Hot peaches was everywhere, girl. They was everywhere. And it was my son could not be in that. And first of all, I like my kid. I love him.
Yeah.
But I like my kid.
Right.
Like, we kicks it.
Yeah.
That's my boy. We do things. So, of course, my son can stay in his room.
Right.
And eat the food and use the cable and play the video game that is his at my house, of course. But me and his dad co-parent.
Right.
So, normally...
That's beautiful.
Right.
I made a face. I'm sorry. That's why she laughed. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
So normally, I literally can't stand you.
I'm so glad you guys don't see this video
Listen,
yet.
let me tell you something. You don't get to say this forever.
I know.
And I'm not editing none of this out, so don't ask me. Because we co-parent, my son is with me 50% of the time, and he's with his dad 50% of his time. So right now, this is different because ever since me and his dad haven't been together, it's always been 50-50. It's always been every other weekend. It's always been 50% during the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, weekend. It's always been 50-50. I am a firm believer in fathers in their kids' life. My daddy is my everything. My son's father is a dope dad. We don't work.
Right.
But he dope when it comes to being my son's father. Like,
right.
I thought he was going to be a good father, but, he has exceeded that expectation when it comes to being my son's dad. However... It's a good thing I'm his mother because the other stuff,
right?
I'm like, okay, I get my role. I got to do everything else. Cool. And I have my son right now because his dad ain't really doing
nothing about that drywall.
Nothing about that drywall, girl. And my son will not be over there breathing no black mold. Like, we need to get this together. And hey, now my monkey's not my circus. My house is fine.
Right.
We're breathing fine over here. We got windows, we got air conditioning, and we got fans.
Right.
We got all that food, water. It's cool over here. So
basic necessities.
I think it's just interesting that this is the first time I get to see what it's like to be a single mother.
Right.
I don't know how single mothers function. My son's 13. I have never had to be a single mother.
Right.
And I'm not a single mother right now.
Right.
But when I say
the circumstances have
I
shifted.
have my son 24/7, and then his dad comes and gets him, takes him to go get a haircut, or takes him to the show, takes him to eat, which is a lot of women's lives.
Right.
On a regular basis. This is mine because of some drywall.
Right.
But on a normal circumstance, this would be a life for some men too. Some men
Absolutely.
have complete, there's single parents also.
Absolutely.
And then sometimes the mom come and sometimes she don't. It's
right.
some women out here that just want to do their thing, and it's some men out here that just want to do their thing. And this is the first time I've got a glimpse of what that would be like. And I just applaud y'all because let me tell you, I have always had a reprieve.
Right.
I've always had a chance to take a deep breath. I've always had a chance to have 3 days to myself.
Right.
I've always had a chance to not be hands-on. Because I was going to say not be a parent, but I'm a parent every day,
right.
all day.
At work.
All the times. But I don't have to be hands-on every day because of his dad,
right.
who is also hands-on. So we are both hands-on, and sometimes I get to take my hand off the steering wheel, and his hands are the only ones on the steering wheel. But there are a lot of people who don't get that luxury. So I applaud you guys who do that because, me and him always had an understanding that that's what this would be. And I've never called myself a single parent because of that. Now, and because me and my son's father are 50-50, he's not on child support, but I've never had to ask him to, or beg or persuade him to do anything when it came to his son. Hey, he got these fees. He need this. He needs that. All right. And then it's done. And I understand how blessed I am to be able to say that's the type of co-parenting relationship that I have, as well as him, because I'm not no baby mama. Like, his son is well taken care of. I don't ask him for nothing. My bills are paid with or without him. My son is taken care of either way. So, he doesn't have nothing to trip about when it comes to co-parenting, and I don't have nothing to trip about. But I see how just in these 3 weeks, I think it's been about 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks, that I've been doing this, how much pressure that has to be, how overwhelming, how, hey, y'all been to the grocery store so many times because them 3 days make a difference. 3 days I could go out to
glad
eat.
it's no video right now.
Like in 3 days I could go on a date. I could go out with my friend. I could go over to one of my friends' house and she done cooked, and I don't have to have groceries in my house until I get my son again. Like, because when it's my son's father's weekend, my son goes with him Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't get him back until Monday. So I have like a 5-day offer,
Right.
And I don't have to go grocery shopping until I get him back on Monday. Listen, ma'am.
It's different.
And he's 13. And my son is 5'11". We
Back on my B. Simone,
height.
baby girl, you are black.
Listen. I just like, I was sitting in my room because that's what happens when you fast and you read your Bible. Stuff comes into perspective, and I was like, Lord, I just want to say thank you, because my life could be completely different, but on that aspect, I don't have to say anything. I don't have to talk to God about, please do this and please do that. Now that's covered. I got to talk to him about a whole lot of other stuff, and I'm so glad that ain't on the list.
So I think being with my fiance now is my first glimpse of what it looks like to not be a single mother.
Right.
Because I've only known single motherhood. And bearing that full responsibility. So I have 2 kids with 2 different men who are completely different, and their roles are completely different in their lives. But both roles, I retain majority of the responsibility of care.
Correct.
So, for me, I think it took a certain level of mentally rewiring myself that I didn't have to move the same way with my fiance.
Right.
And
because the help was there?
Yeah, because I didn't know what to do with that.
Right.
And almost wanting to, in some ways, push it away. Like when he would say, I could do certain things or I could help in certain ways. And I'm like, no, you good. I don't want to put that on you.
Because you're so used to the control and the responsibility being on your lap that to let go of it was foreign.
Yeah. So this is like new territory, and I'm like, oh.
When you got somebody to help you.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. So, I'm like in the complete opposite realm of like, oh, okay, that's dope. I've found it hard to, in my situation, explain that I found it hard to find a level of understanding between my children's fathers and myself, of them understanding that I am a single mother, because the conversations will verge into a level of kind of opinion, I feel like feelings, ego, and different things that it would almost come off offensive to them
for you to refer to yourself
as a single mother, and even explain it. And my explanation of that was because, even if you're gonna go into like court terms or legal terms of things, I retain primary custody.
Correct.
They live with me. They are with me on majority of the time frame. Majority of the expenses are mine.
Majority, huh? You just gonna say majority?
Yeah.
All. Anyway, but whatever. All.
Yeah, but that's why. Well, I'm keeping it plain in my understanding, and I'm like, no, you still don't think so?
Here's where the problem comes with people who don't want to accept the term of what it is that they are living.
Mm-hmm.
Because perception is reality.
Right.
So how you perceive what's going on is going to be your reality.
Right.
And how someone else perceives what's going on is going to be their reality. I cannot persuade anybody to perceive or have a different perspective than what they want to have.
Right.
So if you think because we created a child together
Right.
that I am not a single parent,
Right.
or because you're not dead,
right,
that I am not a single parent,
boom,
that's not accurate.
right,
If you think that because you're not in a relationship with that person, but they are in the child's life on a consistent and constant basis, you are not a single parent.
right,
You are a single individual.
right.
You
Are co-parenting.
You are co-parenting. And the people's understandings usually are manipulated to fit them.
Absolutely.
And to fit their agenda. So there are women who say that they are single parents and they are not. You are co-parenting.
Absolutely.
You are a single woman,
Absolutely.
but you are definitely not a single parent.
Right.
And then there are some men who believe that their child's mother is not a single parent, but he does not participate in anything but maybe a holiday, or, he shows up on a birthday. They talk on the phone. He doesn't even get the child consistently. There is no schedule. There's nothing set for us to consistently follow. You don't financially help.
Right.
You don't emotionally help. You don't help.
Right.
All the helps. That woman is a single mother. And it goes the same way for men. Because I got some male friends who have custody of their children.
Yes.
And the women don't come and see their kids.
Talk about it.
Don't give money for their kids.
Not at all.
Don't have anything to do with doctor's appointments. Have nothing to do with no
School.
plays, no school projects. Nothing. There are women out here doing the exact same thing. And that man is a single parent.
Talk about it.
Now, you can feel how you want to feel about it. That don't change the facts. Maybe it change your perspective, because how you perceive something is your reality, like I said. But it don't change the facts.
So I think this is a really interesting conversation, because I think, especially for you and I, because we have completely different
Absolutely.
Scenarios with both of us, we're both not with the fathers of
Correct.
our children.
Correct.
But what that parenting relationship looks like is completely different.
Correct.
For us. So I think in the lamest terms, how would you define co-parenting?
So co-parenting to me is first 50-50. Everything where it comes to anything that has to do with that child. Meaning, if you were to leave, if you were to pass, if you were moved to a whole nother state, any circumstance where you no longer exist in that child's life, their life would be altered. If my son's father was to leave, my son's life would be altered.
Yes.
It wouldn't be, oh, dang, I miss him. It'd be, okay, so who I'm going to play basketball with? Who's taking me to get my haircuts?
Right.
Who's taking me for my gym shoes? Who's coming with you to the parent-teacher conferences?
Right.
Who am I going to talk to about what happened in school?
Right.
Like, his life would be altered. He's not a weekend daddy. He's not a holiday daddy. He's not a let's talk every couple days daddy. He is a hands-on father. So if I was to go, his life would be altered.
Right.
If his father was to go, his life would be altered. Either one of the parents were to leave, the child's life would be altered. And I don't mean in a feelings way.
Right.
their actual life would be altered.
That they understand, that they're accustomed to.
Correct.
That they function to.
Because this is altering for him right now. The fact that he's been with me for 4 weeks.
Exactly.
He's like, so when's Dad going to get that girl? Listen, he asked me. I looked at him. I said, call your daddy. I don't want to have this talk with you.
I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it because we're not going to do that. So you call your daddy and ask him. And it because he's accustomed to being with his dad. He's accustomed to going to basketball games and going over cousins' houses and running up and down the street with his dad. And he's accustomed to having time with them going to the mall when they do go get haircuts together. That's a thing. Right. You know what I mean? Right. I don't do that with him.
Right.
And then vice versa, when he's with me, he used to lay it on the couch and watching movies. He's used to me cooking some type of vegan meal for him to taste, and he gets to critiquing and tell me how it is. He's used to us going on walks and talking. He's used to us riding in the car, going to hotels for the weekend and swimming together and stuff. Like, he's accustomed to those things. So then, you know, who's going to take me to my doctor's appointments, and who's going to call the teacher and tell her, you know, she better stop treating me like that or my mama can come up here. Like, who's going to do that if my mom's not there? And that's what I think the difference is with co-parenting. It is a 50-50 exchange in that child's life, right. Not just financially. Right. And some people think, well, because there are people who pay child support. Yeah. And don't have no relationship with their kid.
Absolutely.
That person is still a single parent.
Yes.
That person just has financial help. Mm-hmm. But they're still single parenting. Mm-hmm. And there's some people who don't get any type of financial support at all. But the person, whether it's the mother or the father, comes around all the but doesn't contribute to the house or to the child's. You don't school clothes, book bags, school supplies, field trips, any extracurricular activities, trips, medical expenses, asthma, if it's a child, diapers and pull-ups and any of those things. Like, if you don't contribute on that end, I'm still functioning as a single parent. Because a single parent is the person who takes the brunt of it. Yes, you are functioning as a father and you're spending time, but you are also putting the brunt of raising this child financially on me. And let me tell you something. My son camp was $200 a week.
Talk about it, Queen.
And if I was paying $200 a week by myself, I would have went to jail because he'd have stayed home. Right. They'd have been like, ma'am, he's 7. He can't be home by himself. I also can't pay $200 a week. So he was going to have to stay in the house. I told him, don't open the door. But that's a real thing. And I have one kid. There are people with multiple kids that have to do that. There are men with little girls who they had to learn how to braid hair and comb hair because the mom was like, all right, you do it then. And it's a real thing. And people are confused and think, no, we co-parent because, you know, I come pick them up. Sir, the clothes that you took, I bought though. That was me. Like, that didn't magically show up in that overnight bag that you had. I literally can't stand you.
Okay. So here's the thing. The whole purpose of this podcast, like the reason, and this is a great conversation, so I feel because I'm going to express my views candidly. They are my perspective, my truth, my experience, and my viewpoint. Someone else may differ, and that's fine. This is not their podcast,
so go make a podcast if you would like to talk about it.
Okay.
But on this one, we talking.
I think my opinion of parenting is strongly based on the dad I had, right? Now, and my mom too, of course, but that I take the bearing of what I saw my mom do kind of falls on my responsibility of the stuff that has molded me into certain things of mother. So what I would think I'd have in support on the man end is strongly based off of what I saw my dad doing. My dad took me to school and picked me up every day.
Same here.
Every day.
Same here.
he washed my clothes.
My daddy used to brush my hair, girl.
That's what
he give me braids.
He washed my clothes. He folded my clothes. He, like, the best person I've ever met that can get a stain out of anything. Okay, because I can't do it today. So I wish he had left the secret. I saw him. We didn't have the involvement of time and different things. And as I meet different men and in this phase of my life and growing up, I see that a lot of men model the type of expectations they think they have on being a father off of what they didn't have in a father.
True.
And I see that starts to staple that. For me, and what my father has meant in my life, I didn't have a dad that did all the games and bought me all the new things and, things that I see prioritized to other men that, I'm going to make sure you got the newest shoes and I'm going to make sure we do fun stuff together. I want to take you to the park. And they didn't take me to the park. I'm going to take my kid to the park. And those things start to prioritize, basic care foundations. And one thing that my dad was dependable. One thing I knew I could count on is that all the other things we didn't have in our relationship, any time or place, okay? And for the sake of this podcast and my dad and his lady, because I don't say names, Wilbur, okay, was going to show up. If Tiffani needed him, Wilbur
was going to be there.
He was going to find a way,
listen,
okay?
Let me tell you something.
I don't care if he didn't have the money at 9. Give him some time.
Because he going to be there.
He going to find it. Okay? If Tiffani was in trouble, if Tiffani was in need. Now, that doesn't mean if I was like, hey, these dope shoes are out, he was going to get them. I'm saying, back against the wall,
that's
you
what
in
I'm
need, he going to figure it out. And that began a staple of something, like even relationship-wise, I could kind of tell when I didn't have that comfort, of somebody that, hey,
I can't call on you.
Oh, it's going to get a little shaky, huh? It depends. You're going, okay. And going through the experience of having kids and completely different experiences, even in that's always been my struggle, is the lack of dependability. I haven't ever had a blueprint or expectation because I didn't expect to be a single mother, period.
That part.
So I didn't have an expectation of what single motherhood or co-parenting looked like because that wasn't how I, in my mind, planned to do it. So I've always been open to building that blueprint of what it can look like, of us coming together to figure it out. Just never been able to come together and figure it out.
Right.
So I know that a lot of times, and I could say that where I am now, I definitely, I struggle. For one of my kids' fathers, I remember talking to my sister-in-law, and I didn't want to get Link because I knew that I would have to write down his information and it would risk him being on child support. And I kind of, my mind, and that's kind of probably like the stubborn, ornery, kind of get some of that from my mom, like, don't you worry about it. I'm going to figure it out. If you don't want to be involved, don't you worry about it. I don't want nothing from you.
When does this make you a Puerto Rican?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's my passion. The passion.
Your passion makes you
look.
Latin?
Yep. It kind of merges.
Continue.
Okay.
I just wanted some clarity because I was confused on when you became Consuela. Okay? But go ahead, Consuela.
Maria. Right. So, and it took her humbly and affirmatively saying, it's not about you.
Because it's never about you. And I think that's the part people miss.
Yeah, she was like, it's not about you. It's not about what I want. It's not about how I don't want to do it. It's that here there I was in an opportunity that, that was definitely going to put me in a better position to provide for my kid. But I didn't want to risk looking like, air quote, that baby mama, that person, and I didn't want to go about it that way. And my other experience is I have involvement. One of my child's fathers not involved at all by both of our choices. His choice, my choice.
This is an agreement.
Yeah, it wasn't a formal one, but
it was a nod. Like, all right.
All right. Yep. That's where you at with it. That's where I'm at with it. Cool.
Bet.
Right. And the other father, he's involved. He sees his child. He gets his child. We now have a schedule, but even that has gone through a roller coaster in experience because we differ, and a lot of times we can't. No, not a lot of times. That's just what it is. We can't find a commonality of co-parenting because I think too many personal, individual feelings of how it should be gets into the way of the bottom line of what's best for this kid right now. And for me, I've always been offended when I've received that type of response about like that my standards or things that I want are, an attack or personal. Just like you said with your situation now, part of that is because you've made a choice as a mom that's not the best situation for your kid to be in.
The answer is no.
You know what I'm saying? And because of that, I've experienced, because it's never been a co-parenting setup, that voicing those type of concerns become, oh, you're keeping my kid from me, or this is withdrawal because I have standards and things that, I believe to be best for the situation. Oh, now, of course, we may differ in what opinions of what you think can exist, what I think can exist, but at the end of the day, I was challenged, through one of these experiences to have to really get in tune with myself. And then I went through a journey of having to get in tune with myself, but I had to really get in tune with myself to know and feel confident, and not by what was being told to me I was doing, but really understanding like, what are you expecting here? What are you looking for from this? It originally went from a setting where he would get our child every weekend, and then every weekend and contribute. So even though I have all week, I felt good about that because I felt the consistency of every weekend. And then things occurred, and I was the in a monetary at that part time where I wasn't cut off working. And when that happened, I wasn't working. I was...
Now pause.
Okay.
This is when some men would say, that's not my problem.
Oh, for sure.
That you're not working.
Yeah.
And I agree. It is not his problem that you're not working. Unfortunately, everybody isn't working because they don't want to work. Sometimes it's medical reasons.
Right.
And at that time,
right,
it was medical reasons.
Right. Continue.
Because I got bars.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to have to give them to everybody.
Right.
Because there's some lazy chicks out here.
No, for sure. And it wasn't fully just it was medical reasons, and it was also that I was bearing the majority of the time.
Correct.
So finding the time of what scheduling would work to be able to, because that has to be considered. So I had to figure it out, and get to it. And started looking up like online secretary type of task jobs you could do.
Like from remote locations?
Yeah. Found some online jobs, found some um like started doing Postmates and things that, because things had to be figured out. And in that time, uh, it was pretty much framed to me like, well, my bills are pretty high, so can't really do anything right now. I'm like, that's interesting.
Because I have bills too, and I don't have the option of telling my kid can't really do nothing right now. You hungry? Can't really do nothing.
Can't do
right.
it.
Oh, you need a new diaper? Can't really do nothing right now.
Right.
I don't have that option with my son. I can't be like, oh, you need pencils? Can't really do that right now.
It's never an option. And what started happening on this journey when things started to change, and it went through different cycles of looking different ways at different times, my search was always trying to find that dependability.
Mm-hmm.
Not too specific on what the dependability was, just that it was dependable.
Mm-hmm.
And consistent. And it it went through different phases, and I definitely was at a different place. So the way I conveyed what I needed wasn't great. A lot of times, it would go and boil over to, it's like 0 to 60 and then 60 to 1,000. Right. Like I'd be like,
pew, real fast.
Right. And it would be like, hey, okay, I'm kind of like trying to talk about it now. So you not trying to have this conversation? Okay. Now I got hot lava.
Lava.
And what I would try to have to explain is that, so in the beginning, when I wasn't working and he was contributing with money, that money went for both of us. I would take that money and buy diapers for me, diapers for you. This for you, your place, this for that. So it never was like,
you wasn't getting your hair and nails done?
No.
Oh, dang, no. Sierra.
No. And I was confused because, essentially that's what I was thinking. Like, okay, well, I'm kind of like shopping for us both, for the care of the kid, basically. And it was still what wasn't there, well, you got a crib and my mom gave me a crib, so that money didn't go to me getting a crib, or
right.
They have more toys over there with you than me. Those type of things started occurring from the pipeline. And I think when it comes to the way I expect myself to be treated, that also has a lot to do with my dad, because I'm so used to the chivalry, right, and the I want to make sure you're good type of rapport, right, from my uncles, my dad. I'm gonna, like, I remember it like stuck in my head and it's carried through me. I remember my uncle going in on this homeless man because he was just around. And when he came up to the car, like, you don't come up to this car, this woman with her kid.
Because that's a real thing.
That's too aggressive. And I'm like, oh, let me raise my standards up a little bit. Oh. And so I think the idea that it needed to be so itemized because now that's me versus you. That's not about the kid. It's not that my kid has this and my kid has this. Is, well, you have more than me for this kid. And now we're talking about us now. Now that conversation is not about what the kid has. It's about which one of us is tipping the scale of some sort. Right. That didn't make sense to me. And that then went on a journey of I feel like I've had to battle that thing. You kind of said it earlier. Like, I think there is a conception for people, because that's not just men, that's women too, that because you share DNA, that it authorizes you to a certain expectation of like jurisdiction. Like I get to do what I want when I want because I share this DNA.
Because it's my kid.
Yeah, like, but it's somehow mentally it's skewed that when you don't show up, you forget it. Like when you're not showing up, when you're not giving money, when you're not giving time, when you're not contributing in certain ways, when you're not calling, when you're not doing things, do you remember that you are still sharing that DNA at those times? Or is it only when things don't line up the way?
Yes.
Oh.
That's the answer. It would, because you wanted the answer? Because it's yes.
Okay.
Because the answer is yes.
Okay.
I think, both men and women have that really bad. There are some women that's like, I'm her mother. Mm-hmm. And it's like, today, eh?
Right.
Because last week, funny story, you were supposed to come and get her, but you told me that you couldn't because you were still getting your hair braided. Mm-hmm. And it was 3 people braiding your hair, and it was taking longer than expected, so you weren't going to be able to come get her because it was going to be late, and you didn't come get her the next day either, so you just decided you weren't going to come get her at all, because that was a real thing. But that day you was her mother too. Right. And then fathers are also the same. It's like, that's my son. You can't tell me what I can't do with my son. Funny story. So last week when I told you that he was in school acting up, mm-hmm. and I needed you to come and talk to him because he's been acting out, and I think he just needs to hear it from you. You said you was coming, but then you never came, and when I called you, it was going straight to voicemail, and then I didn't hear from you until Tuesday, and then when I did hear from you on Tuesday, you wanted to talk to me like you wasn't supposed to be here on Thursday.
So, I mean, the way I view things, this is my way I think of things. I don't see any reason that we can't have, this is not my specific situation, this is anybody. Mm-hmm. I don't see any reason why 2 people who had a child together cannot coexist in a rapport of both being able to find common ground to give their best to this kid.
Because it's never about the kid. And I don't want to say never.
So my point is, when you, like what you said, that this isn't about me, I mean, I get that in tenfold of how much when we make it plain, that don't really got nothing to do with that other person. Because it's true. And sometimes that comes off harsh and offensive to either party. Mm-hmm. But I don't personally think that it shouldn't if something I think should happen is going to be hurtful to you. You know what I'm saying? Individually. My point meaning, I think a lot of people, and I'm going to say men because that's just my experience of what I've seen in majority to know. A lot of men, I've seen the rapport that a lot of their moves and their decisions are trying to make sure that they're not giving this woman they had a kid with the upper hand. Meaning, like, I want to make sure the money is being spent that I give you is spent towards this kid.
Oh, legit. I had friends that said, like, I've had male friends who are in that type of situation and relationship literally say, I don't want her to have the money in her hand. I've also heard them say, I'm not picking him up so that she can kick it. Yes. I've heard them say, they're not going to switch weekends with her so that she can go out of town for her birthday. I've heard them say, she'll just kick it the next weekend then. Because that's not her weekend. I'm not going to do that. But in the same breath, I've heard them say, I told her I had to go to a job interview and that I needed to drop him off early, and she told me no. Right. So
it's not different.
No, it's not.
And that's what it comes down to. My thing is, I have been told, because at the time, like right now, I get no assistance. So I don't have Link or WIC or any public assistance or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And because our conversations have been hit or miss through this journey. I've also had to explain that I think he thinks because I've had that type of assistant at some time that I'm in a better position of care than him. because you are getting, I don't get linked, so you should, why do you need my help? Because it's
Your kid.
our kid.
It's your kid.
Because if we broke down the needs,
The
That's
24-hour needs.
it's not just going to be that's eating, because kids grow and them appetites grow. They
Listen,
eat.
I just
And
told you.
Right. And even you being able to see that in a 3-week difference of that time frame, my supplies are more. If we're talking younger kid, if you're getting diapers for 5 days and she's getting diapers for 25 days, the demand is different.
You bought a box of diapers and you've had them for June. I bought a box of diapers and I had them for Tuesday.
Week and a half.
Tuesday to Tuesday. That's the difference.
And that you can't, I understand it, because I do know there are women that take advantage of that when men are trying to do what they can.
Absolutely.
And then they're like
And they
belittling
being trash
them. There's not
characters.
and it's not enough. And a lot of times, if we're going to be honest, there are a lot of women who are using the fact that you share a kid with a man to control that man.
Absolutely.
To control his moves.
And be manipulative.
Yeah.
And mean.
Yeah.
And use them as a pawn to hurt them because he don't care about you no more, so you can't do anything to hurt him without using the kid.
Right. My thing has always been, so my point is, there is no way that money cannot be spent on a kid, period. Like, however it trickles down and how it looks, money is a big component to parenting. So if you don't provide any financial support,
And my son's school say it every year.
you have to understand that I don't understand doing nothing.
Right.
I get, hey, I cannot give you X amount. The more comfortable amount until things look different is for me to give you this amount.
Yes.
That makes sense. Let's have that conversation. I just can't. I'm never going to understand it. It's never going to make sense to me. And because if we think about, if you work and all of us, for me, because I have always been in position to retain majority of the time with my children, if I spend $10 on myself to buy a 4 for $4 today, you spend $10 for a 4 for $4, and I had to buy another 4 for $4, and you didn't. Like, our responsibilities are different. My main thing has always been, at least help me pay
For his 4 for $4.
Yes. Yes. At least help me pay for childcare. So I can work. And I don't need you to do things. Because I don't get to wake up in the morning and just walk out the door without knowing where this kid is going to be, who's going to care for this kid. I literally have to go to work. I have to think of clothes. I have to think of clothes for the school year. I have to think of if you're running low on t-shirts and
Socks and school supplies and
and
underwear.
Right.
And toothbrush and toothpaste.
I have to think of developmental stuff. I'm potty training a kid right now, and it is terrible. And I am so mad. And my fiance is in trouble because this makes me never want to do this again, because I don't want to potty train. I want to skip all of this part.
First of all, each kid is different.
Okay, well, I don't want to do it.
Well.
I don't want to do it. I want to skip. I want to fast forward this part. But I'm that type of time. I retain that responsibility in majority, because the time is not equal. And for me, whether acknowledged or not, I've offered time.
Right.
And that's always where I've struggled, is because I've gotten the feedback, well, I just want to see my kid. Okay, let's do it 50-50. That doesn't work for me.
So you want to see your kid when it's convenient for you to see your kid on the time frame that you want. You also don't want to help financially.
Because you can't.
Because you can't. And me telling you, let's do this 50-50, you keep him, these days throughout the week, I'll keep him these days. And then, you'll get the time. There is no need for you to financially do anything because on those days I could work because you'd have the kid.
Absolutely.
So those would be my days to work and I don't have to worry about it. And the answer is nah. But then you don't want to acknowledge that I'm the primary caretaker of this kid.
Exactly. Because you still want to poke your chest out and say, but I'm the dad. Well, you are. But that applies in multiple ways. Like I had a situation around Christmas time where I perceived things to be great and going in a positive direction, and he had our child the weekend before Christmas. Christmas is literally like on Tuesday, right? Okay. Sunday night, we're talking like 7 p.m. and he comes back and has the conversation with me and says, hey, I wanted to know because I get off early tomorrow. Could I come back and get them tomorrow and wake up with them on Christmas? Because I had been working on myself.
You get on my nerves.
I did not give what I felt on the inside. What I felt was my skin getting hot immediately. And I said, can I be, because now we're like face to face at the door. Mm-hmm. Can I think about it? Can I come back? And I sat and I thought about it. My only issue was the fact that I was having this conversation on Sunday night and Christmas was in 2 days. And that whole Sunday, before this Sunday night, I had been hopping around every store in the tri-state area, putting together stocking stuffers that I wouldn't have been doing in the same way, because we could have been had this conversation, okay? That was it. I was like, bruh, really? Really? That was it. And then I thought about it, and I said, hey, you know what? Cool. Let's do this. But I didn't want to have to be handicapped of what my Christmas day looked like, where now I have to make sure I stay in a certain place. I can't go visit people or do anything because now I got to link up for us to meet back up on Christmas Day.
Correct.
So I said, well, we can do it your way. Just keep them until the day after Christmas. I don't have anybody to watch them. Well, this then turned into come Christmas Day when I'm sending pictures and video, no response, no conversation, and a complete disdain expressed to me that here goes another holiday I don't get to be with my kid.
I think what a lot of people lose in translation with situations like that is they forget that it has to be a mutual convenience. Mm-hmm. It can't be just a convenience for you. I.e., I have seen it where, like I gave the example of a guy could tell his kid's mom, like, hey, I'm going out of town. Mm-hmm. I know I normally have our kid on these days. Let me switch days with you.
Yes.
And I'll have our kid on these days instead. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking you.
Right.
Is okay?
Right.
I don't have the authority to make this okay.
Right.
I still have to ask you, and it has to happen. Mm-hmm. So you don't get to get upset if I look at you and say, I can't switch days with you because I have something planned for those days because I normally wouldn't have the kid.
Right.
Right? I'm asking you for a courtesy.
Right. Yes.
But me asking you for that courtesy still has to be approved and agreed upon. just because you're asking doesn't mean what you're asking for will be granted.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that it's coming from a malicious place
Right.
or that I have malice because of my no.
Right.
And you also don't disregard the part of the yes that I gave you.
Right.
The no came from the part that wasn't convenient for me. But the yes came for the part that would have been convenient for you. So if you want to make something happen, you have to know, especially when you're co-parenting. Me and my son, father, we do this all the time. If it's not, if I want to go out of town, if I want to do something, if I want to switch days with him, I have to ask him. And if he tells me, there have been a couple times that both of us were going out of town at the same time. Bet. Now I have to talk to somebody else.
Right.
So then I call my dad or I call my brother and I'm
Right.
like, hey, can you keep him? I'm
Right.
going out of town and his dad's going to be out of town too. Okay, fine. But if there's a person who
Right.
doesn't have that phone to friend ability the way that I do, the answer is just no, and I can't finagle something else out of it.
Right.
If I didn't have my dad or my brother to come
Right.
to, I would have to cancel my plans.
I think
And I don't get to get upset with my son's father
that you had to
because
cancel it.
I had to cancel my plans because he can't, because
Right.
of whatever he has going
Right.
on. And people don't understand. You have to know, just because you're asking for something,
Right.
you are not automatically given whatever it is that you're asking for because you really want it.
Well, you know what? I think I had to grow to see that too. I think because I've worked in this factor of being able to be self-accountable
Yeah.
for myself.
Yeah.
I think I struggled to be understood so much that I would get enraged that I had to explain my role.
Cool.
And that in itself would just make me so upset that trying to make it make sense, I didn't have much to contribute in us finding middle ground because I was just so angry that why do I have to explain that I'm bearing the responsibility that I am? So for sometimes it would be times where like an incident that he brought up to me that happened, like early on the journey was, I remember, it was a time he asked, could I get him early or could I get him early because he had a big meeting on Monday morning. And he had to study or prep for this meeting. And I didn't have a lot of
Grace.
I didn't have that. I was offended because I was like, I can't even go into a job interview without securing that somebody watches our child. He's a disturbance for you right now because
Need quiet time.
okay, because you're going to get it when I pick him up. So I was confused. Like, oh, you need this full whole bet. Now, where I am now, I would have handled that differently.
Correct.
But I was more so offended that in other settings where I was having to explain that I don't have that, that I had to get through my head the understanding that he doesn't have to understand that.
Correct.
That's not what we're doing here.
Right.
I would like us to understand each other. I would.
Yes.
But that's not a requirement for us to do this together on this parenting end.
And that's the part.
Yeah, that I had to process that though.
Yeah.
But in that time, wanting him to get it took over, and that made me upset.
I think that's with a lot of things, though, not just with parenting. People wanting the other person to
get it.
or you know how people just want to plead their case and be like, how don't you understand this?
Yes.
And the other person's looking at you like, because that's stupid. That doesn't make sense to me. And in your mind, you're like, how does this not make sense? And guess what? It don't got to.
Nope.
It don't have to make no lick of sense to you. Because you know what? Half the stuff you do don't make no lick of sense to me. So I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what we still got to do? This.
Kids still needs things. Things still have to happen. So there would be times where, he, I struggled because it would be told to me, like, let's say something went off the schedule. Hey, I have this going on. Do you think you can, step in here? Could you? And it would be brought back to me like, I did you a favor there.
Oh, you're saying you reached out
to the dad.
To the dad and said, I need you to step in, and then it was looked at like, hey, I did you a favor by watching your kid for you.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what? That remind me of when people say that they babysitting or they watching their kid. I will punch you in your face. Yeah. I will punch you in your face, then I'll chop you in your throat. If you ever in your life fix your lips to say in my presence, let alone about our kid, like me, I literally told my son father, I was like, I will never ask you to babysit. You want to know why? Because you can't babysit your kid, shorty. This is yours.
Well, what my thing is,
and you can't do me no favor either.
Exactly. What my thing is what you said. I feel like you said, the flight situation. Mm-hmm. If you can't, you can say no. Mm-hmm. But if you say yes,
you don't get to tell me.
You don't get stars and brownie points. I don't really
because you kept your kid, like,
Because how I look at it on the tree of hierarchy, if I'm retaining the majority of time and responsibility, second tier, if I can't do is you.
It ain't my cousin. It's you. Oh, did you ask your sister if she can? I'll punch you in your face again.
And I think sometimes, because everybody says, I'm extremely blessed. Like, my support system is dope. And I know that even in my journey of being a single mother, everybody doesn't have the support system I had.
You know what's so interesting? I just thought about when you said that. My support system is all men. That's so funny. Like, my son's father, my brother, my sister, she lives in Atlanta. But when she was here, she was helping. But currently, she's not. So my support system consists of all men, mm-hmm. which also probably plays a really big part into why my mindset is the way it is, mm-hmm. and how I view things and why I think men should behave a certain way.
Right.
But go ahead.
And because of that, I don't think me having a dope support system overrides the co-parenting responsibility.
Correct.
So I can have the support, and maybe you don't have the same friends to phone like I do. You don't have the same, but it doesn't mean that when we look at the landscape of, we have this kid together and this is what this kid needs. Like, I got so offended of having a conversation like, well, you don't have to buy what you're saying this kid needs. Really? This is so interesting. And
like, I didn't say I was buying an aquarium.
No. Like, talking about, like, learning to, well, you don't have to get that. I don't.
Learning tools. I don't have to. You know what I also don't have to do? Explain to you why I want my kid to have these learning tools, because I don't have to.
And I've I definitely know, and because we've talked about it so much, let's be clear. This can be your story, ladies, and I have to say this from the place that I've grown to. It doesn't give you the right to be nasty because it's your story, though. It doesn't give you the right,
and
though.
Bitter.
Yeah,
and
too.
Spiteful.
And so you're going to condemn him with your language, and he's not even...
Or go lie in court. Let me tell y'all something. Because this burns my biscuits. I've seen so many women who go to court and lie. And because the court is biased, it is.
Yes.
It is tilted towards women because of how mothers are viewed.
Right.
It just is. It is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are some awesome dads out here who get stepped on because women will go to court and lie. Let me tell you, when a man is not doing what he's supposed to do, the truth is enough.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's doing stuff, you got to go in there and make it good. I know men who have had to go to court and women have lied and said that they hit them.
Mm-hmm.
I have known guys who had to go to court because their kid's mom put an order of protection out, and that stops you from visiting and having days. I've known men who've gone to court and women said that he didn't give no money. He never gave money, but that's because he didn't have receipts. But even in the court system, even if you have receipts, they're considered gifts. And she'll go in there and pretend like, I don't know, I ain't never get nothing from him this whole time because he got a new girlfriend. I've seen women do some ridiculous. I've seen kids screaming for their daddies. Reaching out for their daddies. I've seen the fathers crying like, man, you bogus.
Right.
Why would you do that? And she's like, well, this is what happens when you mess with me. Whole attitude. I mean, and I say that because we all know the stories behind what men do.
Right.
And highlighted, you don't see the stories behind what the women do as much as you do about men not being there. I've seen men take the women to court because they are the primary parent, and the women go to court and lie in court and was like, well, I was trying to do this and I was trying to do that, and he kept stopping me. He's like, you dropped the kid off on Tuesday.
Right.
And told me figure it out.
Right.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
you did.
The same way, like I said, at this point in time, like I'm not going to spill tea and get into his whole you dig, but my fiance has custody of his kids, and a completely different situation as well than mine, but still parallels and similarities of the responsibility
Absolutely.
on our plates. And because of that, you know, I've had to look at it in other situations where I think a lot of times as women, because I know this story comes a lot of way, and I can speak to women from the woman perspective, the language and how you handle things matters for you. Because just how it's known, you know, I grew up and that was a saying from the time I got pregnant that I heard, and it's true. The moment you become a mother, that's your responsibility.
It is not about you anymore.
It's not about you. It's not about him.
Nope.
That's not about being single. That's not about being married. That's not about co-parenting. The role you play as a mother is yours.
Yep.
Solo
Dolo.
Okay? Because your perception is also going to be different. There are married women who still take the blunt of the parenting in because of them fulfilling how motherhood and parenting goes for them. That they're still not with someone that they can, you know,
it's not a teammate.
Right. Share the responsibilities in a certain type of way. So that's not about just physically being single or not. And because that's something that I've known, you cannot let your frustration about that override your character of you being who you need to be because of it, because we have choices. And I know, and I've said it, and I've been in that shoe. Well, I don't want to. I'm trying to be nice to him. I'm trying not to take him to court. Stop trying. Go take him to court. Go protect your peace. If that's what you think you need to do, or stop talking about it. Stop being bitter about it. Stop carrying reason that you get to talk to that man any type of way. Because if he's already not contributing and you talking to him crazy, it's not going to happen, sis. He's not going to do it. He has no reason. I've seen men who want to be there for their kids and they've been put in terrible situations. And because she's so vindictive and manipulative, he's falling back and that kid loses.
Yep.
And
that's the only person who loses.
And that kid grows up trying to figure out, learning that they have a dope dad. And like, what the heck happened for why I didn't get to experience this? And then they figure it out and they realize, my mama was on trash.
Yep. Kids grow up.
They figure it out. Whatever the case may be, it's never going to look the way in a fine-tooth comb way that either one of us wants it to look. Because if we're being honest, besides the fact that maybe it didn't work out with you and that other person, I don't think anybody would want to choose to raise their kids in separate households.
No.
Nobody is choosing that. So we're already both functioning from an angle where we could have a little more empathy to the other person.
Correct.
Right? Because it's not ideal for either of us. But providing our child with the best that we individually have to give this child is still an option in that situation. That's got to take precedence. And I know women who get nasty. I don't think I got but I got angry, and my anger would spill over into yelling,
which made you behave nasty,
right? And then we can't really do anything with that at that point. So if it's not, you're not yelling, but your words are belittling and condescending, and he was late on giving you a payment, so then now he can't see. He was supposed to give you money. He didn't give you this week. He was coming to pick up his kid. Now he can't pick up his kid. Don't do that. Don't do that. You have to. We said this before to each other in a conversation. If your aim is to co-parent, you have to give what you expect back.
Absolutely. 900% agree. And I'm always the type of person that will say, if my son's father asks me for something, I'm definitely going to do it. Right. Because I know for a fact I'm going to need something from him.
Absolutely.
At some point.
And you've built a rapport that you can count on
Absolutely.
him to be there. And I think some fathers who feel like they struggle on understanding it from a woman's perspective, it may look different from every woman, and it may look different of how you're getting it. But I think you have to factor that in when you're like, I'm doing the best that I can. You have to give a little empathy that she is too.
Not only that, but you also have to realize that when you're thinking about you doing the best that you can, doesn't mean that it's what you perceive in your head is legit helping her.
Right.
You can't say, but I'm doing this, and then she's supposed to be like, oh, thank God you're doing that. If you don't get to decide if that's giving her the space and the leeway to move around that you're thinking it gives her.
Right.
You don't get to dictate that. So if she's telling you, okay, I thank you for that portion, or right. Yeah, I saw that, but, and you get upset with the but, that's because in your mind, this should be enough.
It should be enough.
And there's some women that you tell them, you could be given enough, and they just terrible people.
Right.
What I also want us to do is own that we chose these people. Y'all better start acting like you didn't choose these people.
Both ends of
you chose them. When you had sex,
yep.
Whether it was protected or unprotected, every single person that you have ever had sex with, you chose to have a kid with them. You was just lucky that it didn't happen that time. But this time,
unfortunately,
not so much.
You were in a rape situation.
Well, yeah, that too.
But
well, no, because if you was in a rape situation, you wouldn't be with that. I mean, the father wouldn't be involved anyway.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That'd be the only situation you didn't choose.
Yes, absolutely.
But if you walked into that room,
laid that thing down,
and y'all did that thing,
whether there was a condom, whether it was birth control, whether it was an IUD, whether you was on a patch, you was on a pill, you didn't think you get pregnant because your ovaries ain't been acting right since you was 12, whatever.
Well, see, and this is also what I had to learn too. I had to learn to not take personal our different levels of understanding and perspective, because it doesn't mold all of my opinions, but I think the way I think due to part of what I've experienced.
Absolutely.
And he's going to think the way he thinks due to what he's experienced.
Absolutely.
And that may not always line up, but where I was getting offended, that were the things that as a person, as a man, that he's like, hey, this is what I want to make sure happens. I'm not here to tell him that he shouldn't make that a priority. What I'm saying is that when we merge responsibilities for what this kid needs, it may not be meeting what you think it needs to meet and the overall need of this kid.
Correct.
But it is not for me to take away that it shouldn't mean what it means to you.
Correct.
To show up the way you feel responsible. Today, I'm not yelling about nothing because I just don't have it to do. And I think me having more grace for myself has also given me more grace for this situation. Because now, if I find myself frustrated or not liking, I have to be more accountable that I have certain control to change this, how this looks, without trying to change him.
Correct.
I can change certain components about this on my end, on my responsibility, if I find it overbearing or something about needs to change. My end, not me trying to combat with him to change him and what he does.
Well, but that's most people's goal in it. I'm going to change your mind so that you think how I think, understand what it is that I'm saying, and then we function in this way. Instead of accepting this person's probably not going to think how you think.
Right.
You're not going to see eye to eye on 100% of everything. And that just because I don't think how you think doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it different.
It's just different. And I think I also know that now I can, I have grace for that. It doesn't all have to be figured out now, because I see stuff like that from that viewpoint for myself. So meaning there's still things today that are not ideal, but it doesn't disrupt my peace. How it did at one point in time. I still have experiences that this doesn't look the way I want, and I had to realize this don't look the way he wants either. So because of that, can it get better? Yeah, it could. Is there room for it to grow? Can it look different? Can it grow? Can it evolve? Can it get better? Yeah. I don't get to decide that. I'm taking a journey with myself, and I'm growing and getting better and adjusting and evolving, that he now is on a sped up time frame of how he grows and adjusts and evolve because we had this kid together.
Yeah.
And now you need to speed up and get to it because it's not really working for me. That's not how it worked, because I chose this.
Right.
And because of that, I have to allow it to work. I get to not like certain things. I get to want things to be a certain way. I don't get to condemn him because it's not. And
Correct.
That's what ends up happening. Either side, you condemning this mother because you're not liking the way she's doing things. You're condemning this man because he's not showing up the way you want him to. And we have to be kind in the way we talk to each other, that if you want this other person to prioritize this kid, you have to make that a leader in your language and how you're dictating what this relationship is.
Right.
Like I said, for me, dependability is it, but I know that things completely changed for me when I stopped trying to get him to understand me. Like, that changed the whole game for me, because that was what was leading my irritation and why it was so frustrating to have a conversation, because any type of, feedback, honestly, that didn't read that you got it, was like, so am I talking to a wall? What are we talking about here?
Right.
Because to me, just facts are facts. Certain things are, and the truth is, there are facts that are facts. He still gets to feel how he feels.
Yep.
I get to feel how I feel. And there are certain things that have worked out that we are able to make consistent.
Right.
There are other things that I'm sure he individually doesn't like, I individually don't like. I'm grateful that it hasn't stopped us from doing things for our kid together because of it. So I think there's room for it to grow. It could get better. I'm glad that I took personal growth and accountability in myself so that I know how things evolve. I recognize that I got a personal responsibility for my part.
Right.
That I'm not going to talk to you nasty, because if I feel offended, if I feel you're disrespecting me, if I feel like I can't believe I have to explain this to you, then I can't come back at that talking to you crazy, yelling at you, like, that's just about personal character. That's not about the situation now.
Correct.
That's me.
That's me.
I gotta be the best me Period. And then if we want to add the layer of where we unite, I gotta be the best me because I'm this kid's mother.
Mm-hmm.
You could be on trash. I can't be over there with you. The trash is gonna have to be separate.
Hot peaches.
That was great.
So, if you had what are your gems? What would be your takeaways from this long controversial podcast?
Yeah, but we had to get into it because it's layers. This is a touchy topic. I feel like.
Of course, for everybody.
I think two things. I think you have to give what you expect.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not about circumstance. That's about morale. I think circumstantially, like I said, I bear majority of the responsibility and time and finances, but I don't get to ask for consistency and then decide to switch things up when I want to because I bear the majority of the responsibility. So I get to do what I want to do.
Right.
Because if I'm air quote offended that you're doing what you want to do, there's certain things you kind of said it earlier in this podcast because you said most of the time people do it to manipulate things towards like their advantage.
Correct.
Your feelings cannot lead. We talk about feelings all the time, and when y'all lead with feelings, your feelings cannot dictate your responsibility. So if I expect things of you, I have to hold my responsibility to that expectation by doing my part, whether you do your part or not.
Correct. If
I expect you to be more, communicate more, I have to communicate the way I expect you to. Not for you to do it. Not like, I'm going to stop now because I've been given this and now you ain't, so let me stop.
Mm-hmm.
No, because I expect it, I have to give it. That's just my responsibility to the expectation I have. Is doing my part. So that would be one. And I think if co-parenting is a struggle of yours, I think you have to I think it's known that the kid needs to be the focus. I think you have to
it's not known. So say that.
Okay, the kid is the focus.
Not known.
But
that is a huge assumption.
The kid is the focus, but your personal responsibility to that kid has to be your focus, not the other parent. You cannot be more concerned with what that other parent is or is not doing than your role individually of what you are doing.
Absolutely.
I think so no matter what anybody's situation looks like, you have to, you got to know your role. And you have to show up. It's like that idea of, so I mean, that's if you think you're at a disadvantage and you don't have time or whatever, when you get time, you own that thing. Yeah. All right? You give everything you got to the time you got, because it's leaving an imprint with that kid, because these kids grow. And if you think you're in a disadvantaged situation, it will show in the growth of that kid. It will all come to surface. But if you're just wanting things to look different, but when you really look at your kid and your kid is cared for, your kid is developing, you don't see issues, your kid is being treated well, you have to humble these individual, I want it to look this way, so that your kid is prioritized and you are doing your part to that. Because with that being my responsibility, and I don't check for what he's not doing the same way that I used to.
Right.
Because I'm showing up on tenfold for my responsibility. So those would be my two.
I would say, I need y'all to figure out if you a single parent or if you co-parenting. Because a lot of y'all are putting yourselves in categories that you don't belong in. And because you're putting yourself in the wrong category, you're treating it wrong. Because you think you're a single parent, you're behaving as if you're a single parent, i.e. excluding the other parent that is involved because you're not a single parent.
Right.
And I think the other person needs to acknowledge that if that person is actually a single parent because you ain't doing what you're supposed to do,
right,
you don't get to consider yourself in a co-parenting situation because you had a kid with somebody. That's not what makes DNA. You. That's not what that is. So cut that out immediately. And I think the second gem I would have would be everybody parents differently. Mm-hmm. Everybody grew up differently. Yeah. Everything they saw as a child growing up, what my dad did and what my mom did is not what somebody else's. Lack of having parents plays a part. Yeah. Having two parents or having a mother or a father or not of one of the other plays a part. And because that's not how you parent, mm-hmm. doesn't mean that the other parent is wrong, right, in their parenting. And it also doesn't mean that they're right, but it doesn't mean you get to disqualify or assume that how they parent or what they're doing is wrong because it's different. Right. And just because that's not what you've seen doesn't mean that it's right. Because I know growing up, when I saw my dad taking care of us, my dad was financially, emotionally involved in my life. My dad, like Tiffani said, took me to school every day. Right. My dad used to braid my hair. My dad, I got my training bar with my daddy. I went and found my prom dress with my daddy. Right. My relationship with my father is not what everybody else had with their dads. Right. So what I perceive as a father and the bounds that I know a father can go are because of the bounds that my father did with me. My dad went over leaps and bounds for me and my sister and my brother. And that's, in my mind, ingrained what a father should consist of. Now, if I get with somebody who didn't have a father like that and doesn't look at fatherhood the same way, that doesn't mean that I'm right and he's wrong. Right. And that doesn't mean that I'm wrong and he's right. Right. That just means we grew up different. Mm-hmm. You still got to put 100% in with that kid. And stop condemning people because they grew up differently than you. Right. You don't have the authority to do that. Right. That would be my
That's gem. Big.
Mm-hmm. This is long. If y'all made it this far, thank you.
Thank you. If it resonates, because I appreciate all the people who reach out to us and tell us.
But y'all usually just go to our inbox. But you can post on our Facebook page or right. our IG page. When you see, I know you don't like to, because I get all types of inboxes and text messages too. Right. But you can post it. I know that this is a sensitive subject for people, and mm-hmm. I know it's not very popular, but it's necessary. And y'all just need to stop being terrible people. Yeah. Because the only person that ends up getting hurt is the kid. Yes. So fix it today, right now. And I'm out. Yep.